Well, this radio and TV magazine from 1949 has a feature article that might seem comical in our world today. My husband is ideal. Mrs. Jack Smith tells why. Well, Mrs. Keith Weaver could have written this, and she's found thousands of women who are really and truly living happily even after marriage. In fact, Fawn Weaver traveled the world across 6 continents, 12 countries, and more than 18 cities. One woman's worldwide search for the secrets of a great marriage. Meet the author and founder of Happy Wives Club. Welcome from Los Angeles, Fawn.
Thank you for having me.
This is too fun and meaningful.
Yeah.
As you point out in your book, typical tabloid worldview, at least, wives are miserable, husbands cheat, marriages don't last.
Yeah.
That made you angry.
I wouldn't say that it made me angry, but it was a little frustrating. It was frustrating because you and I were made to be caricatures in every single television show, movies, on the cover of every magazine. What a wife stands for has completely changed. And I think it's time for us to have a little bit of a reset button on that.
10 years married for you.
10 years, it'll be 11 in a couple months.
I want to show a picture of your husband to whom you dedicate the book.
Yes.
And you're not ashamed to gush about Kevin.
Keith.
Keith. And here's the man. See, I got distracted. Such a handsome man.
He is.
And this is not your wedding day.
No, this is 10 years later.
You eloped.
We did. We eloped. We met in May. He proposed in September. We eloped in December. And the only thing that he regretted from us eloping was that he never saw me in a wedding dress. So 10 years later,
you
he
took
saw me
care of it
I did.
in a beautiful way.
I did.
Well, this is such an amazing story. How long did he give you up to this world adventure?
Well, the beautiful thing is we sort of coordinated based on his business and me doing this. So he met me a few weeks into it in London, and then he traveled with me to San Francisco and to South America. So we sort of, charted it out in such a way where we weren't apart from each other for longer than 3 weeks at a time. But I tell you what, that 3 weeks was like an eternity. I was counting it down. As much as I loved being on this journey, and as amazing as it was to travel to all these countries and to interview all these happily married couples, I wanted to be with my own husband and to enjoy my own marriage. So yeah, he did give me up for a while. It took about 6 months from beginning to end to interview all the couples.
Now, just before we get on a plane with you, you are a successful businesswoman.
Yeah.
When this began, weren't you general manager of a well-known hotel?
Yeah, Hilton.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I was with the Hilton family, and yes, I was a general manager, and it just so happened that one night I just saw all of these images of wives and just husbands and how we're both portrayed in the media. And I said, you know what, enough of this. I want to shine a positive spotlight on marriage, and I'm just going to start this site. I'm going to start a club, Happy Wives Club, and I went home and flipped open my laptop, just went to one of those pages that was a template, and you could just plug in your information, right? And I put in our mission statement, the About Us, that just basically said, I want to gather women from around the world that are proud to say, I am happily married, my husband doesn't cheat, he's awesome as a matter of fact, and I love our union. And let's see how far we can go. So my goal was to find 1 million women around the world. We're at about 750,000 at this point.
That site became a magnet for women who wanted to say, yeah, I am happily married. I do adore my husband. I was speaking years ago and speaking on Ephesians 5:33, wives must respect their husbands. And I think I read the Amplified, which really does kind of gush about that. And some woman, I was calling my husband my prince, and some woman called out from the audience, you haven't been married long enough. I said, you know what? It doesn't change God's word. and our requirement.
Yeah, and it doesn't change based on how long you've been married. All of those that I have interviewed, some have been married 20 years, 25 years, 55 years, and those principles remain the same. They're very basic, and that matter of respect, what's really important and what all of the wives here made sure that I understood every single time I sat down in an interview is this respect thing is not going one way. This respect is going both ways. And I think with Ephesians 5:33, the part that people forget is after the semicolon, there is an instruction to the husband. And we focus so much on what comes before the semicolon that we don't realize that if the husband loves us as Christ loved the church, there is no greater love. There is no greater respect. So for all of these women, their husbands respected them more than anyone else in the world. And that's an important distinction between those who are happily married and those who are not.
Now, of course, the way you found your interviewees was through the blog, which became the club. And Asia, Australia, South America, Africa, Europe. What a ride.
Well, the interesting thing is the way I found the couples was actually through being in hotels. So this is the fascinating thing, is I wanted to make sure that these were couples that other people in their community would say, that is the couple we all want to emulate. So I reached out to people that I had met through hotels, because we're all traveling, and said, point me to the couple who you have personally witnessed for at least 25 years or more, have remained happily married. They are genuine. And everyone around them would say, that's the couple we want to be like. And then I got on a plane and I went to interview those couples.
Now, the stories are wonderful, but it's great that you have distilled all that you've gleaned in 12, a dozen secrets for a marriage that stays happy even after. 25 years.
Yeah, there were 12 things that all of these couples did, no matter the continent, no matter the country, that were similar. Something as just as simple as a daily ritual. So here in the States, we hear a lot about weekly date nights, which are important. But these couples, they said, yeah, weekly date night, I'm sure we do, but we don't really think much about it. But what they all did is they all had a daily ritual. So for instance, a couple in Cape Town, every morning, husband goes downstairs, gets 2 cups of coffee, wife opens up the windows, they do this before dawn, and then they both get back in bed, sit against the backboard, and they have what they call their morning board meeting. They talk about everything on their agenda, everything on their calendar for that day, whatever happened the day before, anything that they want to talk about. That time of connection provides that for them. And a couple, an Israeli couple, for almost 40 years, they've been having port and appetizers every night before dinner. So when the kids were growing up, they knew, okay, mom and dad will meet us at the dinner table, but that hour beforehand, we're not invited to that. So by the time I got to the 8th country, I called Keith and I said, honey, we need a daily ritual, because this is consistent with every single couple that I have interviewed that's been happily married 25 years or more. So ever since then, we have our Weaver coffee hour in the morning. We wake up super early to make sure that we can spend at least 30 minutes to an hour together every day.
The word I would frame there is connecting.
It is connecting.
It's hard to drift apart, and sometimes it is the slow drift.
Yeah.
And you wonder how it can ever come to a note left on the table, I've left you.
Right.
But it's happened in little degrees.
Well,
of
it's
not caring.
Absolutely. It's like the quote, you cannot drift together, you can only drift apart. And it's these little things that these couples did every single day, the consistency and the way they loved, honored, cherished, and respected one another. The fact that they would not hang around other couples who did not treat each other with respect. That is consistent with every happily married couple that I have interviewed. They do not surround themselves with toxic people. They do not hang out with other women that talk negatively about their husbands. We can have a conversation and I can help you, I can try to counsel you, but I am not going to sit in your presence for a very long time.
I love the point about, well, 2 I wanted to highlight, laughter, first of all. I just happened to be with a girlfriend this weekend. It's her, I remembered her family, who's Kevin. That's how I did the Freudian slip there. I had to take a picture from what was on her fridge because she just loves to laugh. Take a look at this little slide. She who laughs lasts.
Yes.
And you would say that about marriage.
Absolutely.
important to keep the fun and laughter.
Well, it's so interesting because for some reason, we can sit with our girlfriends and laugh and joke about all of our flaws, all of our idiosyncrasies, all these things that we do, but for some reason, when people sit down with each other, meaning husbands and wives, there's this seriousness a lot of times. And so those flaws that your husband points out to you, you take so seriously and you begin to defend. And something that these couples did is they laughed about each other's flaws. They poked fun at one another, and neither one of them got upset or frustrated, or they just thought it was funny.
Well, this would rock Hollywood. Out of Cape Town, South Africa. We are enough for us. We hear the cry of so many individuals who don't feel that they are enough. And this is a couple saying, we're not going to look to the left or the right. Mm-hmm. We are enough for us.
Yes, and you're not going to define my marriage. You're not going to tell me that I cannot create happily ever after. You are not going to tell me that I should expect a hard road ahead. If there's a tough and windy road ahead, it's fine because you're doing it together. These couples always did it together. So when they ran into challenges, no matter what it was, there was one woman who had gone through multiple miscarriages. No matter what it was, if you're going through it together, that's what matters. I'm really open on my blog about the fact that we're now 10 years into this marriage. We don't have any children, 3 failed fertilities, treatments at this point, or tries, if you will, and a failed adoption. And it doesn't matter. It's never pitted us against one another. Wow. It has always drawn us closer together because we're on this road together till the end of time. So if anything, you come and you forge just the strongest fort around your life that no one can get in.
Wow, through all these tests.
Through all the tests.
Of your love, your faith.
Yeah.
Wow. I love how you close your blog. Until tomorrow, make it a great day. You insist that this is a choice. Happiness is a choice.
It is absolutely a choice. You create happiness. Happiness is not something that happens externally. That's something that is misrepresented a lot. Happiness is not based on happenstance or happenings. Happiness is based on what is within. My pastor, Rick Warren, he did a series not long after he came back, after his son committed suicide. And yes, he came back and he did one series that was really about hope and just getting through trials. Mm-hmm. The series he did immediately following was called The Habits of Happiness. And it is creating the habits that create happiness, or following the habits that create happiness. One of those things are, if you say marriage is hard, that is a self-fulfilling prophecy. It will be hard. If you say marriage is worth me putting in effort, then you believe that you are going to receive some type of reward, or your investment is going to yield some type of profit at the end of it. But when you say marriage is hard,
be careful.
Yeah.
What you speak.
Absolutely. Don't say marriage is work, because you and I both know that most people, you're either underpaid or underappreciated for the work you do. So when you say marriage is work, you're putting it in the same class with that.
Marriage is a gift.
Marriage
How about
is
that?
A gift. Marriage is a gift. It's one of the greatest gifts God has ever given us. And by the way, your spouse that you chose out of 7 billion other people in the world, he was your gift too. And she was your gift.
Well, this is a gift. You had disappointments that could be crushing, but Fawn, you have made use of the time in bringing so much encouragement, helpful, practical advice for married individuals. I would say, and for those who are hoping to be, this is a great preparation. And I love what you say. Happiness in marriage is not an oxymoron.
No.
You're living proof, and so are people in 12 countries, 6 continents. And you're going to want to read this book. Wonderful wedding gift.
Yes.
I would say. It is at our e-store. Fawn Weaver, I have a feeling we'll see you again.
I hope so.
More chapters to come.
Yes.
God bless you.
God bless you.